Hey everyone, meteorologist Alden German here in the WHAS 11 Weather Center. It's the first day of spring. Many people have been looking forward to that quite a bit, but our winter was actually relatively warm, although we did have a few cold snaps, particularly at the end of December. Overall, we saw more unseasonably warm temperatures than we did anything that was too cold. So let's talk about the seasons and how exactly they work. You hear about the spring and fall equinoxes, the winter and summer solstices, but how do they actually function? Well, let's take a look. Here's the seasons explained. So there's the Earth relatively on January 1st. Of course, it moves around the sun in the course of 365 days, but our orbit isn't actually perfectly circular. It's a little bit of an ellipse. So we're actually closest to the sun in the wintertime and farthest away in the summertime, but our temperatures don't necessarily reflect that. So let's kind of explain. So the spring equinox is technically known as the vernal equinox. It's the first day of spring, which occurs usually around March 20th. And the center of the sun is directly above the equator, and all areas receive about 12 hours of equal daylight and nighttime. But what's important to remember is that Earth doesn't point straight up and down. It's actually tilted on an axis of 23.5 degrees. And during the spring and fall equinoxes, neither of Earth's poles, so the North Pole or the South Pole, is facing directly toward the sun. So we're kind of perpendicular to the sun's rays, which is why we get those 12 hours of daylight. So about 12 hours of daylight at the Arctic Circle, at the Tropic of Cancer, the Equator, Tropic of Capricorn, and the Antarctic Circle. But as we continue through the year and as we approach the summer equinox, or excuse me, the summer solstice, this is the first day of summer, which is usually around June 20th. And during the summer solstice, the North Pole is pointed closer toward the sun. So that means everywhere in the northern hemisphere, which is where we live, sees more sunlight. We get more direct sunlight and more energy from the sun, which means we have a longer days, warmer temperatures, and the southern hemisphere is experiencing their winter at the exact same time. So even though we are technically further from the sun during the during the summer months, we experience warmer temperatures because the northern hemisphere is facing closer to the sun compared to the southern hemisphere. And then we see different amounts of daylight during the summer solstice as well, with the Arctic Circle picking up 24 hours of sunlight, Tropic of Cancer about 13.5, still 12 hours at the equator, and the Antarctic Circle, so the South Pole, experiencing no sunlight at all during the summer solstice. Then we get to the winter solstice, and kind of opposite of the summer solstice, we are actually closest to the sun during the winter months, but because the northern hemisphere is facing away from the sun and getting less energy from the sun, we have shorter days and therefore colder temperatures. So then it's the opposite of the summer solstice, where the Arctic Circle and the North Pole doesn't see any daylight. Tropic of Cancer only gets about 10.5 hours of daylight, equator still 12, and the Antarctic Circle experiences 24 hours of daylight. Now let's take a look back at this past winter here in Metro Louisville. We've only had 6 inches of snow, technically not even that, 5.9 inches of snow on the season. We averaged just under 13 inches of snow for the season. And this is dating back specifically to November 12th of 2022 when we had our first measurable snow. So 7 inches below average on snowfall this year. And that's even less than what we experienced last year, which was only 9.5 inches of snow, but still closer to that 12.9 inches or 13 inches that we typically see. So not the best winter for snow lovers. We'll have to see what next winter has in store for us. As always, you can always check out more of our weather blogs by going to WHAS11.com/stormteam-blog. You can also see various other weather stories on our weather page. That's WHAS11.com/weather. So reporting here from the Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Alden German.